Hello and welcome to another episode on Maritime Radar. The port play a key role in connecting nations, trades and economies. This has profound impact on trade volume and transport costs. However, the sector is confronted with many challenges such as new standards and modernization to achieve international best practice, especially in areas of security, safety, environmental management, port operations, and services. The ever-evolving and changes in information technology, inter- and intra-regional competition, the ever-increasing size of ships, cargo handling equipment, and traffic growth, among others. Africa must have the ability to cope with such rapidly advancing realities in order to benefit from the trade opportunities. How the new Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy can position itself and tap into the numerous opportunities in Nigeria's ocean resources are some of the issues that will be on the front burner on today's show. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. Port and shipping industry are facing emerging challenges such as growing freight traffic, environmental concerns, operational changes, and other disruptions occasioned by global pandemic. Therefore, the urgent need to turn to technology and digitization has become imperative. To survive, we must embrace the new normal to ensure efficient port and shipping operations. Delivery operations, blockchain technology, drones, high-bay storage systems, data and analytics, digital exchange platform are areas to digitalize. Before we get further into today's lineup on the program, let's find out the latest in maritime news.
The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, had charged employers to enroll their dock workers in the contributory pension scheme. Speaking during a dock workers event in Lagos, Jamo also called on the operators of oil and gas terminals to grant approved stevedores and dock workers access to their platforms to perform loading and offloading operations. The NIMASA Director General added that the Dock Workers Day with the theme Healthy Dock Worker, Better Productivity was organized to appreciate Nigerian dock workers' contribution to the economy. Alpha Liner says at least 12 container vessels have diverted from transiting through the Red Sea to avoid potential attacks by Houthi militia, taking the much longer route via the Cape of Good Hope. Attacks on shipping in the Red Sea and the Straits of Hormuz, which have included hijackings and missile strikes, initially targeted Israeli-linked ships, but recent incidents such as the drone strike on the OOCL chartered container ship No. 9 had no current Israeli links. The online liner shipping analyst noted in its weekly report that as many as 12 container ships had diverted from transiting the Suez Canal to the much longer route via the Cape of Good Hope. Another 6 ships were expected to follow suit. A diversion by the Cape of Good Hope on a voyage from Shanghai to Rotterdam at a speed of 18 knots would increase the transit time from 25 to 33 days. A new project is set to develop a training framework to equip seafarers with skills as shipping transitions to zero greenhouse gas emissions. This was announced at the 2023 UN Climate Change Conference, COP28, in Dubai. The project will work to prepare seafarers for zero or near-zero emissions ships, helping the global shipping industry to decarbonize and ensure a just transition for seafarers. The aim is to equip seafarers with skills and provide guidance for trainers and the industry. The World Maritime University and IMO Global Research, Education and Training Institute, based in Sweden, and Lloyd's Register will develop 2 training packages, one for all seafarers irrespective of their roles and another for officers with higher level responsibilities, as well as an instructor handbook for maritime training institutions.
If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radar. The Blue Economy experts are of the view that the maritime industry lacks proper regulatory frameworks to drive Nigeria's ocean resources for economic development, but harnessing its various aspects is Africa's ticket to economic prosperity. In this chat with Barrister Hassan Bello, former Executive Secretary and CEO, Nigerian Shippers Council, he speaks on the key elements of being a shipping nation by owning a national fleet, the role of infrastructure, planning, and export to drive a vibrant marine and blue economy ministry. Stay with us. It's good to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Let's start this conversation looking at the blue economy. The stakeholders for so many years yearned for a separate ministry, and today we have it. What do you think or make out of this new economy? Is it a victory time or a time to think? And on the second leg, what is the economic potential of this blue economy?
Well, I think it's time to think and time to ponder, as a matter of fact. This is, as the creation of the ministry is, as you know, a response to years of yearnings and cry from the stakeholders that the government should look at the maritime industry as a special area, as a place for diversifying at least the source of revenue for the government. So I think it is good. However, it is very important we set the agenda and start right. The marine economy, or blue economy, as you term it, is not a greenfield thing. It's already populated by stakeholders. We have the issue of power, we have the issue of ship fishing, we have the issue of mining, and so many other interests. So it is important we navigate this blue economy and come out with an agenda, a roadmap. What we want is clarity. What is the objective? What is the jurisdiction? How can we integrate that? And the whole thing is, what contribution will it make to Nigeria's economy? Your second part of the question, of course, the blue economy will support the economy. It will support the economy. It is a very vital thing for the nation. The maritime industry has always been there, and part of the transportation. And as you know, transport drives the economy. If we have sluggish infrastructure, we have sluggish transport system, then we'll have sluggish economy. But if we have modern, efficient transport system, then you see our economy grow. So, but the way is to harness it, to come together, to integrate all the issues and make sure that Nigeria benefits from its vast resources. We've been talking about potentialities for a long time. Now is to put it together. And I think this is the time to do it. It's now.
The minister, about a few weeks ago, brought together in a room stakeholders to brainstorm, so that he could be able to tap into their wealth of experience and wisdom to be able to set the pace for this ministry. Do you think that was a right step, and do you think that was fruitful?
Yes, it's a good beginning. I told the minister, and I will tell him again, let nobody put a screen between you and stakeholders. Not even the agencies supposed to be under their jurisdiction. Stakeholders are the eyes, of the minister in policy setting and the execution. It is important, every stakeholder, and there are varied stakeholders. We have the freight forwarders, we have maritime workers, we have the terminal operators, shipping companies, and of course the agencies, are the ship owners, and many of them. Each one is important. Each one has the right to participate. We don't want an inclusive or exclusive policy. It should be inclusive, and I think the minister has started right. It is important that this stakeholder engagement is done not once, because we have to sustain the momentum.
The end goal of this ministry, or whatever it is we want to do in the maritime industry, is economic development.
Yes.
So how do we harness the opportunities, or how do we explore the opportunities of the blue economy for development?
We have to look at all the potentialities, as I've said. And the blue economy has always been there, sitting but without receiving attention of the government. Now that the government is deliberate, with stakeholders' engagement, we will have a roadmap. The issues are policy. You have to have a policy, direct policy, lucid policy, and one has to have also targets. What are the goals? It is important. So if you have this roadmap, you have to cloth this with a legal framework so that we don't go about, beating the bush. So legal policy, legal framework, and the execution. And it is very important that we said, what are the areas we are interested in? 1, 2, 3. It's simple. So what is the law? What are the existing laws? How can we integrate the laws? How can we say we eliminate conflicts, of laws? And how can we tap with the resources and make contribution to the GDP? Communications, for example, it's a Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. It has made 9% contribution to the GDP as I'm talking now. It's even aiming higher. So what will the Ministry of Transport, what is the contribution? We have less than 1% if I remember right. So that is very important. You harness it. Everything is meaningless unless you contribute to the economy, GDP, revenue, employment, and feeder industries. For example, the communication industry has effect on you, the media. You have advertisement from it because of the competition and so many other things. So that's what we are saying, that the maritime industry is not a maritime industry for itself. It has to create an economy, support the economy. It has to be an enabler, a catalyst, and that is a very serious thing. The framework we have to get right from the beginning.
Okay, we cannot, you mentioned goal, and we cannot attain this goal without talking about the few elements, the key elements. One of them is infrastructure. You will agree with me that that is almost in total collapse. How do we address infrastructure?
There is correlation between infrastructure and development. If your infrastructure are outdated, they are not modern, it means transport cost will be astronomical. It means transaction costs will be astronomical. So the country is not in competition. Will not compete with others. But if you have modern infrastructure, then you could see immediate effect, on the economy. Our infrastructure are dilapidated, number one, and we have huge deficit in infrastructure. Unless we modernize our infrastructure, unless we create new infrastructure, then there will be a lot of problems. So the government should combine its deliberateness in providing modern infrastructure. And this infrastructure must be connected, integrated. And then it's not only the hard infrastructure, not about roads, the ports, railway. I'm talking about the soft infrastructure also. That is trade facilitation. So we are talking about the port community system and the other trade or facilitations or applications that will facilitate trade. We are talking about digital, digitalization.
By technology.
Yes, technology. So our efforts must be technology backed. Let me just give you an example. There is a port in Kano. It's a dry port, Dala Inland Dry Port. Now it has to be digital. It cannot be a manual port because the days of manual ports, manual infrastructure are actually gone. We have to operate digitally with technology. Technology will make huge difference. So if you're going to build a port or any transport infrastructure, for you to get license, it must be a digital port, non-contact port. Okay, then smart port, and then now when you go to our ports, you see multitude of people. People need not to go to the port. They sit down in their offices and transact business and move a lot of things. So that's number one. Number two, it is the philosophy of export. Now, export is very important. For long, we have been import dependent and bringing low value cargo, as a matter of fact. So which means two things. We are expanding the hard and foreign exchange, and we are creating jobs for the people we import goods from. Now it is important we reorient, our transport industry for export. Chief Sarumi, the former MD of both Nigerian Shippers Council and the NPA, said Nigeria we either import or we perish. Now this is instructive. It is important. Even our ports, the ports we have now, are not construed for export. It is important we reorient everybody and said, look, and we have exportable commodities. We have the best commodities, agro-based. We have there are many commodities to export. So we'll earn a lot of foreign exchange that everybody is looking for. It will bring the inflation down. It will create jobs, and it is important that your balance of trade, is favorable. Otherwise, the more import dependent we become, the more we have inflation, the more we have joblessness in lieu of productivity. But if we are exporting, and I'm talking about processed value-added exports, then you will see multiple effects on our economy. So that is a thought for the Ministry of Blue Economy.
Nigeria is import dependent, yet we are not a shipping nation. You will know more from our guest after this short break. Please stay with us.
News Central TV, Africa's #1 storyteller, has come with the best of both worlds. With a combination of news app and live TV, we ensure that you keep track of the latest headlines, breaking news, and in-depth analysis from professional journalists from around the continent. Download the News Central TV app on Android and iOS and get started today. Don't forget to follow us on News Central's social media platforms. News Central, Africa First.
If you are just joining us, this is Maritime Radar, and I still have with me Hassan Bello. He is the former Executive Secretary and CEO of Nigerian Shippers Council. Before we went on that break, I said, what should we be doing now as Nigeria is import dependent, yet we are not a shipping nation because we only see foreigners dominating our shipping industry. And what do you think should be done? What are you profiling? And what do you think we should do concerning CVFF? What should we do concerning indigenous shipping?
Well, indigenous shipping or foreign shipping actually depends on what it has done to the economy. We are not, as you said, a shipping nation, despite all natural endowment. Nigeria is built to be the center of trade. Nigeria is geographically endowed. It's at the center of the world. It has so much products that it can be a power.
Have the population.
Yes, have the population. We have 80,000 kilometers coastline. We have 195,000 square kilometers. Population of how much now we are talking about? So we are located different climate, productive, fertile land. 65% of cultivatable land is situated in Africa. Nigeria having the chunk of it. We can do anything. We could be anything. And transport is key. So
why don't we have our own national fleet?
Yes, we ought to have that national fleet. And as you know, you cannot be a maritime nation until or unless you own ships, honestly. He who controls the ships controls the trade. And we have, for example, even as early back as 2019, paid $9.7 billion for freight to foreigners. So we are pouring money to foreigners. Why? We could have our own ships. If we have ships, we have national fleet or indigenous ship owned by Nigerians, it will reflect on the economy. Our banks will be involved. Our insurance companies will be involved. And then we create multiple jobs. the cadets in our nautical colleges will be, employed, and it will have tremendous, substantial impact on the economy. But we don't seem to do. As a matter of fact, a whole agency, NIMASA, is created, so that we could have ships. I know we are having ships before. We used to trade Nigeria, that is NNSL, Nigerian National Ship Line, trading all over the world. But that has waned because it was government control. Now what we are saying is we should have private sector-led, national carrier or national fleet, with economies of scale. Then Nigeria will be the hub. Nigeria will be the load center. Instead of us to be feeder ports, we'll control the trade. So it is important that we create the government creates enabling environment for national fleet, indigenous fleet to prosper. We could have an arrangement 60-40 with some foreign investments. On the PPP basis, we could have this national fleet. If we have, then billions of dollars will flow to the economy, because a national fleet or national carrier will have incentives, will have advantages, concessions.
But indigenous shippers will say, if we do this 60-40 with private sectors, what will then be their place in it? Because most of them, you will agree with me, this is capital intensive.
Yes.
And most of them ordinarily do not have the funds.
Yes.
That is why some of them are depending on CVFF to be able to disbursement, to be able to afford some vessels.
Yes.
So how do you think, reality, how do you
Yes.
think
The
we should
reality
really go
is,
about this?
The reality is government should have a special interest.
Okay.
There are a lot of funds out there, and we have indigenous capacity, people who have traded. We have master mariners, we have marine technologists, surveyors, everything you can think of. We have Nigerians who have excelled all over the world. Our ships were trading in the Far East, in the Americas, everywhere. The Nigerians, have that reputation of being good sailors. We have them, they're here. So bring them together, have an enabling environment. And that's why the government has to come in, to create an enabling environment, give incentives, give encouragement, so that we own ships. For example, in the crude business, Nigeria doesn't lift her crude. For how many years? All OPEC countries, almost all of them, have fleets to lift their own crude, except for Nigeria. And how long are we going to be doing this? Oil is on its dying bed, as far as I'm concerned. How many years will we depend on oil? So two things critical, dependence, on oil, mono economy, mono product economy, and dependent on imports. So shipping should navigate its way to have export. We should have tankers to carry our own oil. For the rest of the time, oil is imported. We should venture that. I know it's a risk. We sell our oil FOB. That should not be the same. So if we do that, we'll have participation of banks. I tell you, banks will create jobs, insurance will create jobs. We have our cadets, we have to be trained, and then you will become a really very, very proud maritime nation.
You've said so much about export, and it's without export we change our production and economy. So what do you think specifically, assuming you are talking to the minister now, what should he be doing concerning export?
It's deliberateness that created the ministry. So he should be deliberate on export. And that means coming together with many institutions. Now the export policy of Nigeria is scattered, maybe among 7 years. It's scattered all over. You need to bring the export policy together. What is our export strategy? We have products, ginger, the best in the world. We have shrimps, the best in the world. So many things they said Nigeria has the best in the world. But we cannot even compete in the export because access to the port is a problem. Access to finance is a problem. Access to market is a problem. So the logistics itself, cost of transportation, we cannot compete with Mexico, even though we have the best ginger. We cannot compete with many other countries because our logistics system, the value chain, the logistic chain is inefficient. So we sit down and see how can we do that? How can we have a container sealed, taken to the ship itself, okay, the next day, so that it will not be degraded? Well, the Nigerian exporters have tried. They are working daily as if the whole government is against them. And when I look at them, I still see them, struggling to see that they have this export. Government should come. If it is serious, if the government is serious about earning foreign exchange, about diversification of the economy, then they should have deliberateness on export. Export is the way to do that. You have favorable, balance of payments. You create jobs, you douse the inflation that we have, and then you will be taken as a serious nation.
Thank you very much. It's always a delight to have you.
Thank you.
And unfortunately, time is not always our friend. It's been Barrister Hassan Bello. He is the former Executive Secretary and CEO of Nigerian Shippers Council. Many thanks once again for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
And that's our show this week. I hope we're able to set the pace for the new ministry. Join us every week on Maritime Radar as we explore how Africa can unlock the latent potential of its maritime industry and its connected sectors. You can also expect the latest in global and local maritime news and industry insights right here. I'm Nneoma Obi-Asualo. Many thanks for your time and see you again next week.